Good evening to all.
Good evening, ma'am.
Class 8
Good
is
evening, ma'am.
functional.
Good evening.
Everyone joined in 2 minutes earlier. You can put on your videos.
Ma'am, in my phone battery is low, ma'am. Just connecting to my laptop. Just give me 2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. Muhammad Owaisi, please put on your video. Nice to see you all on time. That's great. Shiva, you are sitting on the bed. Yes, Shiva.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you sitting on the bed?
Yes, ma'am.
You must keep your laptop little elevated. Otherwise, you will face difficulty while writing. Either you
It's
keep
not
a small table or some box. Keep your laptop on some box or small table.
It's not laptop, ma'am. It's my mobile.
Okay, you're doing from a mobile. So keep your mobile at some height.
Okay, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Varshit.
Good evening, ma'am.
Is it okay, ma'am?
Yes, it's okay. Are you comfortable?
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, the screen should always be at a perpendicular distance from your face. It should be right.
Yes.
Either it is too high or it is lower than that level, then that will affect your eyes.
Yes.
So we'll just wait for a few more kids to join. Okay, we'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes since this is the first class now. So we'll be starting with the first chapter, rational numbers. Okay. We'll just wait for 1 or 2 minutes so that others can also join in. We'll start. And how was your class 7 result? How was your class 7 result, Varshit?
Ma'am, tomorrow is my PTM. I didn't get my result.
Okay. Okay. Muhammad, how was your result, class 7? Yes, how was your result, class? Can you hear me? Unmute. Muhammad Owaisi, please unmute.
Yes.
I'm asking, how was your class 7 result?
They didn't tell you till April.
What happened?
They will tell April.
12th April?
No, 4th April. 4th April.
1st April. Okay, okay. And Shiva, how was yours? I want to know your maths marks. What were your maths marks in class 7?
Yes, ma'am. My maths percentage in class 7th is 99%.
How much? Say loudly.
99%, ma'am.
Great. That's nice. That's a good number.
I got science 100% and maths 99%.
Very good. Very nice. And what about other subjects?
They are also good, ma'am.
Good. Very nice.
Ma'am, I just corrected it.
Yes, last year?
Yes, ma'am, I corrected it.
Connected? Yes, please put
Yes.
on video.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, 1 minute, it's coming. You can't start the video. 1 second.
Not getting you, yes?
Ma'am, just saying the video is disconnected. Ma'am, 1 minute.
Please write in the chat box. I'm still not getting you. Okay. So children, we are here to study maths. So today you will be starting your maths class, right, with me for the first time. So before we start, we should always start with a prayer, right? So we'll do a small prayer. Please join your hands and pray to your God. Okay? जय श्री गणेशाय. Okay? भगवान का नाम लेके शुरू करेंगे. Okay? जब भी हम कोई अच्छा काम करते हैं, always take God's name first. Is that? Do you? Do you pray
Yes,
to
ma'am.
God before going to school?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you should do that. हम भगवान को जरूर याद करते हैं. Okay. Now, the first thing that we are going to start in maths is the first chapter, that is the rational numbers. All right? So you all have studied about numbers. सबसे पहले जब भी हम maths पढ़ते हैं, we always speak about numbers. Maths is all about numbers. From the very beginning, when you initially started studying in going to school first, your teacher started teaching you numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and all. Right? So maths, initially it started with numbers only. So the very first thing that you were taught were numbers 1, 2, 3 onwards. So what are these type of numbers called?
Natural numbers.
Natural numbers, ma'am.
Great. Okay. And if I add 0 to all the set of natural numbers, then what do I call them?
Whole numbers, ma'am.
And suppose if I add all the negative numbers also to the whole
Integers,
number,
ma'am. Integers.
we call them integers, right? This you all know, you have studied in your previous classes. Now here in this class, we are going to study another set of numbers, that is rational numbers. Now you all have studied about fractions, decimals, is it? Right? You know, there was a mathematician who once said that maths is the science of quantity. Okay. Now, maths is the science of quantity means what? Suppose if you are going to a market, mama tells you to buy 2 kg potatoes. So you will go to the shopkeeper. How will you convey that thing to the shopkeeper? What do you want and how much you want? You will tell the shopkeeper that you want 2 kg potatoes. So he will weigh that thing and give it to you, right? So that was about the quantity. Okay. Now suppose if you go to the shop and you get 5-10 candies, then what? This is about quantity, right? Number of how many candies you bought from the market? 5. Okay, or 10 or 20, whatever you bought. So that is about quantity. Maths is a science of quantity. How much, how many. These two things refers to the quantity. Okay. Now, numbers are not only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and all. I said if you add 0 to it, you get whole numbers. If you add negative numbers to it, you get integers, right? And suppose numbers can also be represented in such a ways, like suppose you are reading a thermometer, you want to measure the temperature of your body. So what will that be? Suppose you are measuring the temperature in Fahrenheit or centigrades. So that is also represented by some number.
Mama,
That is also represented by some number, no? Okay. And suppose if you are saying 70%, percentages, 70%, 80%, our body is 70% water. We say like that. A human body is 70% water, right? So what is that 70%? That is again a number. ये तो कोई natural number नहीं है, ये तो कोई whole number नहीं है. Are you getting me? What I am telling you, are you understanding? This is not just natural number 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 ऐसे बोलते गए. It's not like that. Okay, numbers has some significance, right? We are measuring temperature, we need number. We are measuring quantity, we need number. We are measuring percentage, we need number. And suppose if you have a pizza, right? You took out of 5 parts, you took 1 part. So that means you ate 1/5 of the part. That is a fraction. That is a fraction of it. That is again a number. So number का use बहुत जगह होता है. I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say. Okay. It's not just in mathematics that we are dealing with numbers. Numbers come in front of us, come in our everyday life in many different forms. All right. Now, types of numbers. Coming to types of numbers. And why do we use all different types of numbers? If I say I'm using integers, I'm using whole numbers, I'm using natural numbers, I'm using decimals, I'm using fractional numbers. So what is the purpose of utilizing these type of numbers? That is to describe different things. To describe different things, I'm using these numbers. Now, suppose I went for a jogging in the morning and I ran 2.5 kilometers. So how will I represent that? That's also a number, no? 2.5 kilometers. That's in decimals. Okay. You ate that much of pizza. That was a fraction part. Right? So numbers are not only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and like this, the main numbers, but in between also you have this kind of numbers. Okay. Now suppose, I'll just take an example. Suppose if you have ice cube with you, right? And you have a water and one side you have a water vapor. Okay, you just do with the drawing part. I'm sharing the screen. Okay. One second now. Okay, we'll make this afterwards. Now I'm just writing here. Now suppose you have an ice cube here. Okay, so this is the ice cube. This is ice. And then you have water. Right? This is water. And then you have in a pan, you have water boiling, okay, which is rising by like this, water vapors. Okay, so this is water vapors. Okay, now ice can have temperature 0 degree or even minus degrees, right? Okay, negative temperatures and even 0 degree. Then it comes to 0 degree, then water temperature is normal room temperature, water is 20 to 30 degrees, it might be, right? Then what happens? Then water temperature rises when you are boiling it, it can be 100 degrees and even more than that, right? So in one thing you have different variety. You are using negative numbers here, you are using whole number here, you are using natural numbers here and natural numbers here, right? You got this point? So we are using numbers, all sort of numbers are being used in one set, right? Then we come to decimals. पहले सारे numbers, we write the names. What are the types of numbers that are natural numbers? Scrolling up. I hope you are understanding. Say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Good. Keep answering, okay? Whenever I ask you, because otherwise I should also know whether you are understanding or not. Okay, the natural numbers that started from 1, 2, 3 and so on till infinity. Whole numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, so on till infinity. Then we studied about integers in our junior class that range from 0 in the middle. We have all positives on one side. Okay. Then all negatives on the other side. So on till minus infinity. Then we have decimals. Decimal numbers. Okay, what is decimal number now? Decimal is a point actually. Decimal point is that point which separates the integer part from the fractional part, right? Suppose if I am writing here 3.5. So that means this is the integer part and this is the fraction part. This is the integer part. This is the fraction part. So this decimal point is separating the integer part from the fractional part. Okay, you all know this. Then we have fractions. This is another type of numbers. What are fractions? Suppose I told you that this was the pizza and I ate 1/5 of the part. Okay, and 4 parts are still left. So you ate this part. So how much it was this part? That means how much of the pizza you ate? Out of 5 parts, you ate 1. So that means you ate 1/5 of the part. Okay, so that is 1/5 is a fraction. Okay, so this is again a type of number also. Okay, now adding to it, then comes the rational number. Okay. Now next that you will be studying is about rational numbers. Now see, you have studied so many numbers in the past. You know, natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, decimals, fractions. Then you have now reached that rational numbers. Now what are rational numbers? Rational. Rational numbers means the word rational has been derived from the word ratio. Have you heard about ratio? Students, have you heard about ratio? Yes, Varshit? Have you
Yes,
heard
ma'am.
about ratios? What are ratios?
That means ratios, simplest forms of the fraction.
Speak up loudly.
Ratios are the simplest forms of the fractions.
Ratios are the simplest form of the fraction. Okay, that's okay.
Ma'am,
Yes,
ratio is used to compare quantities, ma'am.
yes. So that is used to compare quantities. Whenever you comparing quantities by the method of division, that is called ratios. Okay. Okay, children.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
So this rational number has been derived from the word ratio. That means ratio of two numbers. We talk about ratio of two numbers. Now suppose minus 2 by 5, I write 1 by 5, I write minus 1 by 5. These are all the rational numbers. Now, how do I define rational numbers? I said these are in the form of, this word has been derived from the word ratio. And ratio is like this in the form of a division form, right? When we compare two numbers by the method of division, we call it the ratio. Okay, now when we are talking about rational numbers, that means we have those numbers in the form. Please write down in your notebooks, rational numbers. Rational numbers. I hope you all have made your separate notebook for maths.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, everyone has to make separate notebook for maths, okay? Where you have all your classwork that we are doing, all your homework, okay? And whatever notes we are doing in the class, all that questions. So please write numbers. I'm just writing a short here, NOS, but you please write in full. Numbers in the form, please write, it's a definition for rational numbers. Numbers in the form P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. Okay. So numbers in the form P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. Now I said P and Q are integers. For example, I'm taking say minus 11 by 6. I have taken this example. Now here I can see minus 11. Minus 11 is an integer, right? Minus 11 is an integer. 6 is also an integer. And I said Q is not equal to 0. That means the denominator should not be equal to 0. This is in the form of P by Q, no? Here P is minus 11 and Q is 6. And I'm saying Q is not equal to 0. These are both integers and this is not equal to 0. Q is not equal to 0. So this is a rational number, right? We can have more examples of this. 1 by 6, 10 by 24, like this, etc. Many more you can write. Okay? Even 12, 15, these are also rational numbers. Why? Because we can write them as 12 by 1, 15 by 1. Number 3 is rational, number 2 is rational, 3 by 1, 2 by 1. Even 0 is rational. Why 0 is rational? Because we can write it 0 by 1. We can write it 0 by 1, no? Anything that can be written in the form of P by Q, where Q is not equal to 0. So here Q is not equal to 0, it's 1. All right? And in case if any denominator becomes 0, in any rational number, suppose if any denominator becomes 0, then will that be a rational number?
No, ma'am, because 0 is equals to 0.
Yes, anything, we cannot divide any number by 0. This becomes not defined. Okay, this becomes not defined, undefined. So that this is the condition that P and Q has to be integers and Q should not be equal to 0. This is rational numbers. Okay, understood everyone? Show me a thumbs up if you have understood.
Ma'am, I have a doubt, ma'am.
Yes, please ask.
Ma'am, here, after, in the definition after ratio, what is that word, ma'am?
After ratio, what is the?
The word, ma'am, in between ratio and 2.
I'm saying this rational word is derived from the word ratio. It is derived from the word ratio. Ratio is we compare two numbers by the method of division. You know, one is numerator, another one is denominator. The upper portion is called numerator. The lower one is called denominator.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am. Yes.
So that's how we tell rational numbers. So numbers which are in the form like this P by Q, as we were writing ratios, numbers in the form P by Q, where P and Q are integers. Okay, P and Q are integers. Integers means they can be positive numbers from 1 to infinity. It can be 0. It can be negative numbers from -1 to minus infinity. That means P and Q are integers. In addition to that, it's saying Q is not equal to 0. Although Q is an integer, but it is not 0. That means वो integers की list में से you will take off 2. Okay? Q is not equal to 0 because cannot be 0. If the denominator is 0, then the number becomes not defined. Okay? The number will not
Yes, ma'am.
exist anymore. Okay? The number will not exist anymore. Understood now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this was about rational numbers. So tell me, what have you written about rational numbers, Lasya? Read out what you have written now.
Numbers in the form P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not is equals to 0. Examples: -11 by 6, 1 by 6, 10 by 24, etc.
Yes. I asked Lasya to speak up. Why Lasya didn't speak?
I was admitted. Then
Yes.
Shiva started speaking.
What happened?
I was just about to admit when Shiva started to speak up.
Lasya, I can't hear you. Your volume, either there is some problem. Please write in the chat box. Your volume is very low. And why have you joined twice? You have joined twice, beta. Now it's okay.
Mom, I hope now it is okay.
Yes, now it's okay. Now your volume is also okay.
Yes, ma'am, because my laptop unexpectedly my sister dropped it down, ma'am.
Oh,
Computer got spoiled.
okay. So I was asking, when I took your name, then you should answer. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now coming back to rational numbers. See, now you all understood what are rational numbers? Muhammad, you understood what are rational numbers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, now we'll speak about positive rational numbers. So in rational numbers also we have positive rational numbers and we have negative rational numbers.
Ma'am, we should write.
Yes, you can write, but first listen. I'll tell you when to write. So positive, see, when you have both numerator and denominator positive, okay, then your rational number becomes positive. When you have both your numerator and denominator negative, you have your whole of rational number as a positive. Getting? Are you understanding this? When you have plus sign, both up and down, it's positive P by Q. When you have both negative signs up and down, you have this positive P by Q. So,
Ma'am, because the minus and minus will cancel out.
minus and minus will cancel. So this is positive rational numbers. When you have same signs in numerator and denominator, then you have positive rational numbers. Okay? You can write down this. Then you have negative rational numbers. So that is negative rational numbers. Negative rational numbers means when you have one of the either of the numerator or the denominator, one as a negative and other one as a positive. Okay, when the numerator and denominators have different signs. Suppose this is positive or negative, then their rational number becomes negative. Your whole rational number becomes negative like this. And suppose if you have minus P by Q like this, then also your complete rational number becomes negative. All right? Because now the numerators and denominator cannot be cancelled. All right? Understood? Then show me thumbs up. Okay, only Shiva is showing, no one else. Yes. Muhammad, if you have understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Harshit, Ronit, please put on the video. Yes. You joined in late. Ronit?
Ma'am, it is not allowing it first.
Okay. So no worries. This was the first class. No worries. So are you understanding? Because you joined in the middle. Are you able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So we have positive rational numbers when the numerator and denominator have the same sign. And we have negative rational numbers when numerator and denominator signs are different. Okay. Okay, now coming to the difference between rational number and fractional numbers. What is the difference between a rational number and a fraction? Think of it, I'll ask you. Yes, tell me. What is the difference between a fractional number and a rational number? Fractions also we say they are in the form of P by Q form. No? In the numerator we have something, in the denominator we have something. And the denominator is always non-zero. Denominator can never be zero. Yes? Ronit, do you have any answer for this? What is the difference between rational number and a fraction?
Rational numbers have integers and fraction numbers don't have.
Yes, fractions are what?
Ma
Yes, yes. See? Yes, you're half right. Great, go.
Ma'am, I
Good.
don't know the fractions.
हाँ बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा बोला हाँ speak up. Anyone else?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ratio is used to compare quantities, whereas fractions are used to just divide two numbers now.
Ratios. We are not doing ratios now. Rational numbers. Although
Yes.
it's derived from ratio word, but now it is rational number. Very true. ठीक बोल रहे हो. थोड़ा सा streamline हो जाओ.
Ma'am, can I try?
Yes. See.
Ma'am, when PQ are the fractions and where P and Q are integers, and P will be equal to 0, then it is not called as a rational number.
Okay. Then P is 0.
When Q is 0, ma'am.
Q is 0. I said Q 0 तो हो ही नहीं सकता. How can Q be 0? Then it will be undefined. The number will not exist only.
Ma'am, when Q is not equal to 0, then it is called as a rational number.
Yes. And what is the difference? How is it different from fraction numbers?
Because it has a, we need to divide when it is given as a fraction form. Ma'am.
Okay. Chalo, good. Everyone did their best. Okay. Now I'll tell you what is the difference. Okay. So rational number, and one side we have versus this competition दोनों में. Rational number versus fractional number. देखें भी कौन दोनों में ताकतवर है. Okay. So rational numbers, just now we studied, they can be written in the form of P by Q. Okay. They can be written in the form of P by Q, where P and Q are integers. Okay. P and Q are integers, and we said that Q is not equal to 0. This is a big not equal to 0. Okay. But what happens in fractional numbers, which you have been studying from your, I think, class 3, is it? Class 3 se pad rahe ho na, decimal numbers and fractions. So that is fractional numbers are also in the form of P by Q, where P and Q are natural numbers. Okay. P and Q are natural numbers and Q is not equal to 0. Okay, so this is the main difference, that P and Q are here natural numbers, because natural numbers are only from 1 to infinity. So it takes only numbers from 1 to infinity. Okay, and no negative and no 0. All right. And in this case, P and Q were integers. They could take the numbers 0, positive, negative, everything, all integers. The second condition is same for both. That is, Q is not equal to 0. Got the difference? Got it? And here we can take the examples. Suppose 1 by 6. Okay. Minus 11 by 6. Minus 9 by minus 3. And here what can we take an example? We need all positives only. So that's
3 by 2,
6,
1 by
10 by
6, 8 by
24.
2,
Then any number, say 51. Okay.
1 not 3 by 3,
Yeah.
4. Anything it can be.
Anything. Okay. Condition should be satisfied. Natural numbers should be there. Okay. And Q should not be 0. Right? Okay. Now coming down. I hope you have understood this much. All that we have studied so far. अभी तक हम जो भी पढ़ते आए हैं पीछे से, we spoke about natural numbers, whole numbers, and we saw that in one activity only, this is the one activity. In this you have numbers all ranging, all the integer range, negative से लेके 0 से लेके you have all positive numbers, right? Okay, this is a very small activity. पहले ice form है, फिर water है, then water vapors है. Okay. And the integers are ranging from negative to 0 to positive integers and like higher up. Okay, we studied about natural numbers, we studied about whole numbers, we discussed about integers. These are all types of numbers that you have studied. Then decimal numbers, then we studied about fractions. Then finally we reached at rational numbers, which you will be studying now. Okay. When you spoke about rational numbers, what are rational numbers? Numbers which are in the form of P by Q, and where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. Right? And
Yes,
Ma'am,
yes,
are we doing sums, ma'am?
who's that?
Ma'am, me, ma'am.
Me means what's the name?
Pranav, ma'am.
Okay, yes, we will do sums later. But
Okay, ma'am.
But today, since this is the introduction of the chapter, so you need to know the basics. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So sums are the secondary things. We'll do sums later on. Once we know about the concept, then only we'll be able to do sums. Otherwise, how will we do the sums?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So we studied about positive rational numbers. We studied about negative rational numbers. Positive rational numbers are when both numerator and denominator have the same sign. Negative rational numbers when numerator and denominator have different signs, right? Then we studied the difference between rational numbers and fractional numbers. Rational numbers are P by Q form with P and Q as integers and Q not equal to 0. Fractional numbers are P by Q form where P and Q are natural numbers and Q is not equal to 0. This is all we studied till now. I hope everything is clear. Anyone has any doubt till here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll come to rational, and you must have heard about another set of numbers, that is rational and irrational. Have you heard the word irrational?
Yes, ma'am.
Who has heard?
Me, ma'am.
Please take the name of me.
Pranav, ma'am. Pranav,
You
ma'am.
say your name. Okay. So Pranav, where have you heard?
Ma'am, I heard somewhere in the Google, ma'am, while searching.
Okay, okay. What were you searching?
Ma'am, I'm searching. Ma'am, I'm searching about fractions, ma'am.
Fractions. When did you search for that?
In 6th class, I'm practicing fractions on worksheets, ma'am.
Okay.
Then I saw irrational numbers also, ma'am.
Okay. So do you have any idea of irrational numbers? What are irrational numbers?
No, ma'am. I
Okay.
think if we divide, I think that recurring, if we divide two numbers, the like it will give a decimal value or recurring value. That's what I heard.
Okay. Okay. वैसे तो irrational तो it's nothing different. ये इसका भाई होता है. ठीक है? Okay. We have siblings, no? तो ये भी आपस में भाई है, right? Very much similar to rational numbers. Okay, with a small difference. Okay, we'll study about rational numbers. So, how do we categorize rational numbers now? Rational numbers, see, we said integers are all rational numbers. All integers are rational numbers, is it? Because if I have 2, 3, 5, they can all be written in the form of p by q, is it? If I write down 1 in the denominator, writing 1 in the denominator will not make any difference. 0 is also a rational number. So if I write like this, it does not make any difference, right? So all integers are rational numbers. Then we know that all fractions are also rational numbers. P by Q form is there, and P and Q are natural numbers. So natural number includes are included in the set of integers also. Okay. So all rational fraction numbers are also rational numbers like this. Then we studied about, now we will study now. Now suppose if I write a number, say perfect square number, if I take any number like this, root over 4. Okay, what is square root of 4? You have not studied about square root and cube roots now. You will be studying later in this book.
I studied, ma'am, but I know only some. 4 square root is 2, ma'am. Like 81 square root is 9, and 36 square root is 6. Like
very nice. So square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 9 is 3. Okay. So this is those numbers which have their square roots as a proper integer. We call them as perfect square. Okay. We call them as perfect square numbers. So these type of numbers also come in the category of rational numbers. Okay. Then पहले हम rationals के बारे में करते हैं. Then we'll see irrationals. Okay. Then what else? What kind of numbers? Okay. Then we have limited non-repeating digits. We can write limited non-repeating digits. I'll show you what is non-repeating digits. You can please make a note of this also. Limited, or I'll share the notes with you later on. That also we can do. Okay, limited non-repeating digits. For example, this is 0.5. Okay, 0.5 can be written as 1 by 2 in the fraction form like this. Then suppose if I have 0.25, I can write it as 1 by 4 like this. Okay. So that means in the decimal part, they have definite number of digits here. Okay. It's not repeating. It's just limited here. Okay. So limited non-repeating digits. You understood? Understood this much? Suppose if I have some number 0.785 like this. So this is also, so I can write this as 785 divided by 1000. Like this I can write. All right, in the P by Q form. So that means limited non-repeating digits. And what else? और किस तरह के numbers we can call them rational numbers? We have endless. Now, endless repeating digits. You must have seen when sometimes we divide the number and it comes repeatedly the same number 0.3333333 and it goes on. Is it? It becomes endless. Have you seen such type of divisions?
So many, ma'am.
So many, no? So endless repeating digits. So suppose you have 0.333 and so on, so on. So how do we write this? We write it as 0.3 and a bar over it. Is it? We put
Recurring,
a bar.
ma'am. Recurring.
And they're also called non-terminating.
So non-terminating and recurring. Okay.
Ma'am, it's called recurring also, ma'am. If one
Yes,
number
recurring
repeats.
also because it's occurring again and again. Hai na? Okay. So we can write this as a fraction form like this. Because when we divide 1 by 3, we get this. Okay. 0.33333 and it goes on. So this type of numbers also comes in the category of rational numbers, right? Okay. Now coming to irrational part. You understood this much? What type of numbers are come in the category of rationals? Everyone understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Repeating digits, endless repeating digits also, and limited non-repeating. That means the simple decimal numbers also. Okay, which terminate. Terminate means which stop. Okay, now coming to irrational ones. Irrational name, we can say perfect square numbers we were talking about. No? Perfect square numbers are all comes under rational category. Now suppose if I have say root over 2. So these type of numbers are called irrational. Irrational numbers. Now, why do we call them irrational numbers? I will tell you. Okay. You call them as non-perfect square numbers. Non-perfect square numbers. Non-perfect square numbers. Because if you find the value of root over 2, no, it will come out to be 1.414. 1.414213 it will keep on going. The number will also be changing and it will be endless. Okay. So these type of numbers also come in the category of irrationals. These are non-perfect square numbers. Okay, then endless non-repeating digits. So this, you can call this as endless non-repeating digits. Also endless non-repeating. Non-repeating means which are not repeating. Every time you are getting a different number. Endless non-repeating digits after the decimal point. I hope you are understanding these things. Many things are same. All this are same. Only thing is a very small difference. Okay, here we have repeating digits which come in the category of rationals. Here we have non-repeating digits, endless, which comes in the category of irrational numbers. That's it. Okay. Now suppose if I say a number pi, have you heard about number pi? Have you heard about the number pi? So here also example can be root over 2 pi. Now pi, value of pi is generally, we take the value 1.3.14159 and it goes on, you know, the number keeps on changing and it never ends. So this type of number is irrational number. Okay, we call it pi. But at times now, you must have studied also maybe in your class 7 a value of pi. We normally take the value of pi as 22/7 also. Now when we speak about 22/7, we see that 22 is an integer, 7 is also an integer. So as per the definition, this says that this thing is a rational. Is it? This thing is a rational number, no? 22/7. But when we divide 22/7, what happens, you know? Divide and check. Please divide and check. Tell me where you get 0 in the remainder.
Ma'am,
Yes,
it is showing different random numbers, ma'am. It is not stopping.
it is not stopping. Yes, that's what I want to say. Okay, but I'll tell you one difference. It will stop somewhere. Okay, now see, when you divide 22 by 7, you get the number 3.142857. Okay, and then after this, after reaching 7, this again the whole number will be repeated. Okay, 142857. So this much part is getting repeated again and again. You will check this once you do that after the class. Okay, so when this is repeating, okay, so endless repeating digits come under the category of rationals. So with this, I can say that this number is rational, okay, because this is repeating after some numbers, all right. But I say that this number pi is irrational because this has a value 3.14159 and so on, which is different from this. So we just take the approximate values. When we do some calculations in your geometry, you will be using maximum of this value. So we take the value of 3 pi as to be 3.14, which gives you the approximate value. Okay, approximate value. Okay, I hope you are understanding this. We call 22 by 7 as a rational, but we call pi as irrational. Okay, 22 by 7 as a rational because it has endless repeating digits, but we call pi as irrational. Okay, and we take their approximate value to be 3.14. All right.
Yes,
I hope you have understood this. Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what criteria you studied about for a number to be rational? What are the criterias? क्या conditions थी that the number should be rational? Criteria for a number to be rational.
Main criteria is that P and Q are integers and Q is not is equals to 0, ma'am.
Very nice. It should be in the form of P by Q, where P and Q are integers. Okay, integers, P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. Okay. Yes, Lasya, you're saying something? Then we have integers. Record this meeting locally. Yes, Lasya? This meeting is already being recorded in the WhatsApp. Okay, you can have a look at this. Okay.
Yes.
Whatever lectures are taken on the WhatsApp, these are getting recorded. Then the numbers has to be integers. Okay. Then fractions, all sort of fractions also come in the category of rational numbers. Then all sort of repeated decimals also. Is that repeated decimals which are getting repeated? Okay. Like this, endless repeating digits, 0.333, like this. Okay. Repeated decimals. Then you have terminated decimals. Terminated decimals means 0.5, 0.25, as I said just now. Terminated. Terminated means which stop after some decimal points. Okay. So these are the 5 criteria when we say that the number is rational. That is P by Q form, P, Q integers, Q non-zero. Numbers can be integers, numbers can be fractions, numbers can be repeated decimals, and it can be terminated decimals as well. All right. These are the criteria for a number to be rational numbers. All right. Okay. Repeated decimals are rational numbers. Terminated decimals are rational numbers. Fractions are rational numbers. Integers are rational numbers. Any number in the form of p by q, say fractionals, okay, are rational numbers. All right. Anyone who has not understood anything here? Okay, and irrational numbers mean, what did we say? That endless non-repeating digits. Okay, endless non-repeating digits after the decimal point. Decimal point ke baad you have non-repeating endless digits. So those type of numbers are irrational numbers. जिसमें कि आपका √2 भी आता है, पाई भी आता है, and all sort of numbers, right? √2 can also be called as non-perfect square. Okay. Okay. Perfect square.
Yes.
What? Like this. √4 is 2, √9 is 3, √16 is 4. So these were perfect square numbers. But √2, √3, √5, these are non-perfect squares. And these all come in the category of this. इनको हम यहाँ भी लिख सकते हैं. So in irrational numbers, you just need to study one condition, that is endless non-repeating digits. Okay. These endless non-repeating digits are called irrational numbers. When we are dividing, the number is not ending. Okay. Every time we are getting some different number, some different number, some different number. So that is endless. So that type of number is irrational number. I hope you have got the difference between rational, irrational, rational, fractional.
Excuse me, madam. Is it
Yes.
audible? Lasya? Is it Lasya is audible?
Yes, please say loudly. Who is this?
No, I'm speaking Lasya's father. Is it audible for you or having any issues?
Sir, I can't get you. Please, a little louder, sir.
No, I'm speaking very loudly only. It is
Yes,
audible.
yes.
Oh, one second. Volume has been low. Yeah, I'm checking for her actually.
You are the father of which child, sir?
Lasya. Is it
Lasya.
audible for you?
Yes, sir. Audible now.
Okay, thanks, sir. Thank you. Like she's facing some audio issues, that's the reason I've connected to headphones. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so children, go through this. This was all about the introduction part today. Okay. What are rational numbers? How did we get it from the basic numbers that you have studied? Okay. How are we climbing the stairs? From your junior class, you studied natural numbers, then you came to whole numbers and integers. Now coming to rational numbers, and how are rational numbers different from irrational numbers? Right? So this is what I'm going to teach today. And the further part that is that you have in this chapter is the properties of rational numbers. You will be studying about properties. Properties like, you have studied in your junior classes also about for whole numbers and natural numbers, closure property, commutative property. Do you remember you have studied about numbers, whole numbers and integers, commutative property, closure property, associative property, distributive property? You must have come across these kind of properties. Okay. So same properties we will be studying for our rational numbers also. Okay. That how does rational numbers stand for this? All right. Okay. Do you remember you have studied in your previous class? For integers, you must have studied in your class 6, 7th. Say yes or no. Do you remember?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So same properties we will be doing for rational numbers also. All right.
Okay, ma'am.
So please go through this. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Are you making a notes? Have you written something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, I have written.
Okay, I'll just give you some numbers. Now you will tell me whether they are rational or irrational. Okay. Okay, some small questions I'm giving you. Now tell me, you just have to tell. I'll ask you one by one. Okay, Lasya, tell me, is this number rational or irrational, or which kind of number?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, tell me 1.75 is rational or not? Yes. Yes, Lasya.
Yes, ma'am. I'm saying, ma'am.
Is it rational or not? See, rational means it can be written in the form of P by Q.
Ma'am, it is rational, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely right, beta. So this can be written in the form of P by Q. I can write it like this in the
Yes.
form of P by Q. So that means this
Yes.
number is rational. Okay.
Yes.
Pranav, you tell me 0.001.
Can I
Is it
wash it?
rational or not? Unmute yourself first. Pranav, unmute yourself. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. It's rational number.
Yes. Because it can be written in the form P by Q like this. So it's rational. Okay. Muhammad Owaisi, tell me 0.111 and it goes on like this, endless. Is it rational or irrational?
It is irrational. Irrational.
Huh?
Irrational.
Rational. Very good. Okay. So since 1 is getting repeated, I can put a bar over it like this. Right? So this is rational. Because all repeating digits comes under rational. Okay. Now, Ronit will tell me root over 5 is rational or irrational, Ronit? Ronit. Yes? Ronit? Not here. Okay, now tell me root over 9. Okay, root over 5 is irrational. Okay, tell me root over 9. Lasya will tell me root over 9 is rational or irrational, Lasya?
Ma'am, rational, ma'am.
Very good. This is rational because root over 9 we can write it 3 because it's a perfect square number. So it's rational. Okay. Now if I write here number 1 by 6. Yes. Pranav, you tell me. This is
Yes, ma'am. It
rational or
can be
irrational?
written as rational number.
Yes. See, we can write it in like this 6 1 plus 7 by 6. You can
By
write it
6.
like this in the form P by Q. So it's
Yes,
rational.
ma'am.
Okay. Now number 0.8. Muhammad Owaisi, tell me what is this?
Irrational.
Huh?
Irrational.
Yes?
Irrational.
Irrational. Why irrational? Can I write it like this? 8 by 10? 0.8. So if I can write it in the form P by Q, that means it is rational, no? Not irrational. Anything that can be written in the form P by Q is rational. Okay. Chalo. So we'll continue this in the next class, children. Okay. I hope you all have understood the class was helpful to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Understood everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Chalo. See you for now. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night,
Yes,
Mitchell.
ma'am.
Good night.
Good night, ma'am.